I want you to tell us about all of the non-AAA, like in the popular media.
Oh, yeah.
Consciousness. What's that like 1,000 times resist type game that's coming out
next year
that I'm not aware of that I should be more excited about than these 3 games that I listed? That's what I want to know. I legitimately want to know that. All right, everybody, we're winding down here to the end of 2024. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Can't
2025.
What? How did we get here? How did we get to the year 2025 already?
It's wild. And that's a good question, but it's even more pertinent to ask why we aren't yet eating our dinners in pill form.
Yeah.
And also, why we don't have flying cars
How is
yet.
it possible that the pandemic happened 5 years ago?
5 years.
Half a decade ago in the past tense.
That's weird.
That feels like yesterday.
Yeah, it's funny because some things feel way too far away and other things feel way too close.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's the end of the year, and I played almost no games.
Except for the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, we played, obviously, the games we cover on the podcast, usually older stuff, but I played very few new games last year, and there were a lot that I was interested in. I made a whole video at the beginning of last year, the 5 games I'm looking forward to in the year 2024. I played, I think, 2 of them.
Okay.
And the others, some of them didn't even come out. So like Hyperlight Breaker didn't come out.
Yeah, got delayed a bit.
Not even in early access yet. That's supposed to be like January now of 2025. Yeah. And then the one I was super interested in, Replaced. Haven't heard anything about that. So not sure what's going on with that, but they're taking their time with that game. It looks freaking awesome.
Take your time, people.
But I did play. So the games I did play that I was looking forward to were Unicorn Overlord, which was phenomenal. Yeah. I would call that, of like the 2 games I played this year, my game of the year.
Very good. High marks, high praise. Very good.
It had a 50-50 chance. It won Mike's game of the year 2024.
So who lost the coin flip?
So the loser is Dragon's Dogma 2. But that's not to say it's bad. It's actually awesome. I loved it.
Oh, sweet.
So I enjoyed my time immensely with both. But I would say I enjoyed Unicorn Overlord a little more. Only because it was sort of like this different style of tactical RPG we hadn't seen since way long time ago, back on PCs and like Ogre Battle, the original Ogre Battle game. It's not a tile-based game like you see in a lot of tactical RPGs now. So it had a really great sense of exploration. It was this new sort of infusion, new style that I want to see more of for that genre. So, but Dragon's Dogma 2, it felt in a lot of ways very similar to the first game, and not necessarily retreading it because it does subvert it in a really cool way, but very familiar in that sense. So I kind of knew what to expect, and I had a good time. But that's the reason why it loses in this scenario. That being said, figured we would look back at the games we missed in 2024 that we still want to take a look at. And then what are we most excited for in the upcoming 2025? Yeah. There's actually not that many games announced for 2025 that I'm even barely aware of or care.
It's just
but
there's
a
handful.
Couple.
Yeah.
So we'll go over that. But we put together a list of the 5 games each of us missed from this last year we want to dive into. So why don't you go first, actually?
So the very first game that I missed out on that I really wanted to play, like I was really excited about playing this one, is Dragon Quest III, the remaster.
Mm-hmm.
This HD 2D or 2.5D, whatever you want to call it, what they're doing now is so cool, and I like it so much. I'm only now kind of realizing though how it hasn't been used as often as I thought it would be. When I first saw Project Octopath Traveler, or some of the things that Square Enix was working on 7 years ago, maybe, I was thinking, this is it. This is how we're going to get a Final Fantasy VI remaster in this style that I will actually be down with because it'll reuse the same assets and all that good stuff. I thought it would be more common. And there are still some games that are using that aesthetic, but not as many as I thought. But Square Enix has slowly begun rolling out a couple of them, and one of them is Dragon Quest III. I've always wanted to play Dragon Quest III. I really have. I've really only played Dragon Quest XI. Yeah. That's like my one Dragon Quest game.
Of Dragon Quest.
To have beaten it and played it completely, to its completion.
Yeah.
I have seen, Dragon Quest 7 and 8 and a few others, but the intro. I remember the intro to the early Dragon Quest games were always super cool. But I just hadn't really gotten into playing them yet. And this was my chance. And I missed it because I became really busy all of a sudden in November of 2024. So it kind of came out late. It's still kind of hot. It's still a new game even at this point. So I'm looking forward to playing it at my earliest convenience. But I just love the way it looks, and more games like this, please. I want to vote with my dollar and make sure that it's understood. I like this. Please make more of it.
They're doing Dragon Quest 1 and 2 in the same style next year.
Great.
So,
well, put that to what I'm looking forward to next year. I'm going to finally play the first 3 Dragon Quest games. Yeah. Those games are so big in Japan, and especially the first few, the NES ones.
Yeah.
They literally changed the entire culture of Japan. They changed what day games release on. In fact, the government of Japan was like, you have to not release this on a weekday. You have to put this out on a weekend. You cannot because the whole economy of Japan shrinks when a Dragon Quest game comes out. That's how important these things are. Yeah. And I haven't played them yet. What am I waiting for? It's finally time. This has given me a great excuse to finally play those games.
Yeah. I'm really interested in them too. I have played them a little bit more than you have. Even the original ones. Like, I've played the original Dragon Quest.
You have?
Like Dragon Quest 1. It's actually a pretty short game.
Is it?
You can beat it pretty quickly.
Oh, nice.
This is back before they had, like, figured out saving on cartridges.
So you got to do it all.
So, yeah. I mean, like, they had a save feature, but it's not like it is
I remember
now.
the old NES. It was like a code. You would, like, type in a code, and then that would reload that.
Pretty much was the solution for a long time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so... but I love the look of these. I think they look awesome, so I want to play them too. So for me, one of the games that I missed last year that I was a little bit upset about because you played it and you did an episode on the podcast, and I was traveling for work and I didn't have a chance to comment on it or anything, was the Silent Hill 2 remake. So I'm really we've both said it, but like we're not huge fans of remakes.
Yeah.
And are kind of over that. Don't really want to see more of that. Don't want to see that become such a common thing that it's like most of your big releases for the years are just remasters and remakes of old stuff.
Yeah.
But this one in particular, based on your comments, based on Max's comments on that episode, is something that I want to look at. There's a video I've had in the back of my brain for years, which is actually a video series, which is examining remakes. So going through the original game and its remake and talking about the nature of remakes, their place in the industry.
When it's done well, when
it is done well, when it's not, and what value they have, or a real deep dive just into remakes.
Cool.
And you do this for Shadow of the Colossus, you can do this for Medieval, you can do this for like a billion things.
Yeah, tons.
Demon Souls. Like,
more by the year. On. They're doing so much.
They're doing so many of them. Resident Evil 4 now. Dead Space. All these games that I love.
Yeah.
So there's a whole series on that someday when I have more free time, I might have the gumption to get on and do. But Silent Hill 2 is one of those games where I was surprised by how well reviewed it was, by how well accepted it was, by comments from people I trust, who I feel like I agree with a lot. So I am very interested in trying Silent Hill 2. So that was one I missed and should have played because we did an episode on it and I wasn't here.
There are some complaints about it, but for what we look for in games, they made sure to get those things right.
Yeah.
And that's what I appreciated so much from Silent Hill 2. It's a great game. Yep. I loved it. Right. So the next one for me is actually one of the few games that you did play this year. In fact, they're both on my list, so we'll get to talk about them briefly. Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yep.
You made a video, we made a video, but it was mostly you explaining to me how dope Dragon's Dogma was.
Yes.
Before we played Final Fantasy 16, because it was the same battle designer kind of.
He had worked on Dragon's Dogma before Devil May Cry 5.
That's right. And then 16.
Yeah.
And so that, of course, kind of as you were diving into that, you got into those games. And the way you explained that battle system to me just made me want to play those games. Absolutely. Awesome. Just fun, like theatrically dramatic, but also, just like really cool. Dope way of putting Lord of the Rings onto a video game. And it's something that I would always appreciate. And so because I didn't get around to playing the first one, of course I'll play the first one before the second one. But if we're talking about games that I missed, you may as well just say both. But I missed Dragon's Dogma 2 because I really was excited to play it after talking to you. And I have still yet to do that.
Yeah. It's a great game. I don't care what anyone says. There's a lot of controversy around it.
Sure.
It was misplaced controversy. A lot of people didn't understand a certain mechanic and how it works, and they thought that they were sort of selling as DLC, as paid DLC, certain like cheat codes to make the game easier.
Yeah.
And it was a total misunderstanding that a bunch of like reactionary YouTubers jumped on it. It became this huge mess. And even if you tried to explain, no, this is how it really works, nobody believed you and just like hated you for saying anything good about it. But it was a great game. I loved it. It was fantastic. I had a great time with it. Game that I missed after Silent Hill 2. I wish I could read that from here.
Metaphor.
Oh yeah. This is probably the biggest one for me is Metaphor Fantasia.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a huge Atlas RPG guy.
Yeah.
So like I like the idea of Shin Megami Tensei. In practice, it can be frustrating. It's one of those games I think you really have to like, okay, I'm committed and dedicated to like figuring this game out because it's very hard. But like interesting thematically and a lot of other things. I'm not a huge Persona fan.
Right.
Though there's probably a realm in which I can give 3 a shot or 2 a shot. And then maybe from there I can get back to 4, which I bounced off of like 5 times. Persona 5 you've talked about glowingly, and so there's probably room for me to finally move into and accept this series into my life and learn to love it. But it hasn't happened in the many attempts I've done so far. No. So I'm not, but like Radiant Historia is one that I freaking loved.
Okay, yeah.
And that's an Atlas RPG. So I have this weird relationship with Atlas where it's like I love the idea and the style and the of their games, but like for some reason I just don't get hooked by them. And so when Metaphor was announced as like Project Fantasy or Refantasy or something like that years and years and years ago, I saw the concept art and I was like, that looks sweet. And then I saw the game trailer when they finally like reintroduced it all those years later. And I was like, that wasn't really what I was hoping for. This feels maybe just like Persona, but like in a fantasy world kind of thing.
Okay.
I don't think I'm as interested as I once was. And then people started playing it and people started talking about thematically what it's about. Yeah. And I was like, oh, wait a minute.
It's all this actually pretty cool.
Like right up my freaking alley. And we talk about this kind of stuff all the time on our podcast. And this might actually be really great. And then it went on to win, I mean, just tons of awards at the Game Awards. It was nominated for Game of the Year. It won Best RPG.
Wow.
It won a bunch of stuff. So I'm really interested in trying it now. I think that might end up being my gateway into the Persona style game. Metaphor Refantasio might be the game where I get it finally, right?
Okay,
so to speak.
Yeah.
But I know it's a huge commitment, which is why I haven't played it. It's a long game.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, as all Persona or as all Atlas RPGs tend to be.
Atlas, yeah.
But it's like, I mean, right in the center of my radar. It's like, of all these games we're talking about, the one I want to play the most. So maybe I will, maybe someday.
I hope to play it too. Especially after the last series we did on Alan Wake, people in the comments were talking a lot about Metaphor. Like, you got to play Metaphor.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm excited to play that one too. Another one that I missed was, we'll just get it out of the way, Unicorn Overlord. Yep. It's a game that I've never talked about a game so much that I haven't played before. Because of the translation issue. We had lots of episodes just going over scrupulously, just looking at the text.
That's really funny.
Reading, comparing the Japanese, going from thing to thing. You know, I would look up the scenes online, and I have not played that game, and it looks so good. And at this point, I don't know why I have not yet played that game. But we ended up doing
love it.
Lots of podcasts about it.
You're going to freaking love it.
Well, I just can't wait.
You're going to freaking love it.
Beyond stoked for Unicorn Overlord. More games like this, please. Yeah. That's what's going to make the top of my list. It's not likely, if you guys haven't gotten it by now, if you're new to the channel, it's not likely to be the whatever the people call the AAA, large studio games. Like that's not what we're about. No. We're about things like Unicorn Overlord and more of that, please. And if more studios would do that, then we'd get even more games per year, because at that level you can make a lot of games.
That being said, I think that game was in development for like 12 years. But
oh my gosh! Well, then never mind. Never mind.
With a caveat.
Erase what I just said.
With a caveat, the team that developed it was pulled so often to other projects
because
within
it
that
wasn't
studio,
prioritized,
and so it was pushed largely because of that. But it also was very ambitious, and apparently the director, it was like a vanity project to a certain degree.
Okay,
like he just really, really wanted to do this specific thing and was like not willing to budge on it whatsoever.
Okay.
Now, I say all of that and might not be like the most knowledgeable, so that might have been a very ignorant statement. That's just stuff I've heard.
Okay.
But yes, it was developed for longer than you would think. And the art really is excellent, and so you can see why it took a long time to make a lot of assets and stuff. But
well, awesome. Okay,
it's good.
Whether or not you can make 100 of them for the price of one AAA game, still more of these, please. Even if it costs more than a AAA game, more of this, please.
Yeah.
So yeah, Unicorn Overlord. That's where I'm at.
All right. Well, I think the next one on my list,
Prince of
Persia: The Last Crown. I used to be the biggest Prince of Persia fan in the freaking world when I was about 16, maybe 15 through 19, like that sort of like later teenage years. I was obsessed with it. I was every day online looking for new info about when the next one's coming out, and going to the official website and looking at screenshots that they would, share blog on their blog about the development stuff. And I was obsessed. And then right after that third one of that sort of trilogy on the PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, that's the Sands of Time trilogy. When that ended, there's some rough years.
Started up.
Yeah, there were some rough years, and Assassin's Creed originally started out as a Prince of Persia project, and they got turned into something else, and then that became Ubisoft's whole identity for a million years.
They have made as many Assassin's Creed games as there are years since the first one came out. So it averages out to be one a year.
It's just ridiculous.
Wild. It's crazy.
So Prince of Persia got put on the back burner. They had some games that didn't do very well, that weren't very well made, though there was a couple of them that are interesting. But it's sort of So I was going to talk about this.
Okay.
So the team that made this game has been disbanded.
What?
Even though it was super highly praised, incredibly well reviewed, a highly awarded game. It was one of the teams that were disbanded, despite it being an excellent, excellent game.
Dang,
That's actually another reason
rough.
why I'm interested in playing it.
Okay.
Is just for their sake, almost like. These guys who I mean, I should say guys and gals, but the team,
the people
who put this game together are exceptionally talented, had a lot of passion for it, and that this could have been sort of a resurgence and like a new life for that dead franchise. And it didn't turn out that way because the gaming industry in its current form is literally broken. And good games can't succeed unless they sell 15 billion copies. And
that's annoying.
And so, it's a sad story, and I'm actually doubly interested in it specifically because of that. But yeah, just as an older fan who hasn't been into the series in a long time and hasn't, it's a 2D, so way back to the roots of like the origins of Prince of Persia. It's a 2D game, but it looks good. So I'd like to try it. So that might be, as much as I want to play Metaphor, might be the most on this list. That might be one I'd play first because it's shorter. Specifically because it's shorter.
For that express reason.
So yeah, that's Prince of Persia.
Okay. And perhaps you shouldn't say guys that made the game, but you should instead say dudes.
Dudes. All the dudes.
No.
And dudettes.
I'm a dude. He's a dude. She's a dude. Because we're all dudes.
Yeah.
Hey,
what movie is that?
Good Burger.
Yep.
Welcome to Good Burger. Okay, let's do it. Oh, I heard, by the way, aren't they making another Good Burger
I think
soon?
they did already.
Is it already?
I think it came out like last year or before that.
A year ago?
It came out a while ago.
I'm so behind on this.
It came out a while ago.
Oh my gosh. I hope they sang that song during it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hit up Mario and Luigi Brothership. The reason that this one is on the list is because I love the Mario RPG games just in general. And I loved the Mario and Luigi games that came afterwards. They're a little of they're occasionally a sad reminder of what might have been if our Mario RPG 2 were allowed to have been made.
Yes.
But they're still really good games. I think they took a lot of the lead developers from Mario RPG, ended up going to work on those games, including Yoko Shimomura doing the music,
right.
Which is super fun. But I believe the last one I played was it Partners in Time or Bowser's Story or something like
Bowser's
that?
Inside Story
Bowser's
was the
Inside Story?
3DS one.
Yeah.
No, what was it? No, that was a DS one, but it got ported to
Okay.
3DS.
It was around that time. So it's been well over 10 years since I've played a Mario and Luigi game. But hearing that another one came out and that it's going strong makes me want to jump back into it. There's probably several that have come out since then. Because after Mario RPG, the RPG, the IP-ish, didn't only get split between Square Enix and Nintendo, which is very sad. But then Nintendo split it again into Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi, which is, I love the first two Paper Mario games because they were Mario RPGs. But with the introduction of the third Paper Mario game and all the subsequent ones since, they have really dropped at least the turn-based and a lot of the RPG aspects of Mario RPG, they have dropped them. And that's really sad and disappointing for me. So Mario and Luigi are the only games that are really still carrying that on.
I'm trying to remember if the last Paper Mario game that they released was
the
return of A Thousand Year Door, like the remake of it?
Oh, yeah, there's a remake.
Or was it a new one that went back to its roots? I think they just released Thousand Year Door.
I think it was just the remake of Thousand Year, which is a great game. I love that game so much. But Mario and Luigi is what really continued that. The Mario RPG legacy, as I'll call it. So I would love to play that game, and I missed it this year.
Yeah. Let's see. You got to read the games on my list because I don't remember them.
Okay, you were Prince of Persia. Now you're at Astro.
Astrobot. I have actually gotten exceptionally interested in playing now, because installed on all of your PlayStation 5s out there comes a free little demo game called Astros Playroom. Have you played Astros Playroom?
I still have not, but you told me about it.
I'm telling you, you've got to get your kids together and play Astros Playroom. The game is phenomenal. It's it's my favorite PS5 game.
Really?
I haven't played that many games on PS5.
Like 3.
What do I got? I've got Kenna. I've got Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
I've got the remake of Demon Souls. And there's something else in there that I haven't opened probably. But then there's Astros. God of War was installed on it when I got it. The second of the new God of War games, which I played for about 10 minutes. And then Astros Playroom, which is the only one that I really got engrossed in and just couldn't put it down.
Nice.
And I've actually been playing it with my wife a little bit too.
Oh, cool.
And she's not a big gamer, but she loves it. And so there's been 2 games that I've played where she got into them. One of them was Breath of the Wild. She's really, really liked Breath of the Wild. And then this is the other one. And so now that I've completed Astro's Playroom, 100%ed it twice now. And now that Astro Bot has been as highly reviewed as it is, and as highly praised as it is, it's like a full fleshed out game. This is more like demo, short, you got 4-ish levels to it. And you can maybe get generously 10 hours out of it, even to do everything there is to do in the game.
Yeah.
But the Astro Bot is a fully fleshed out,
nice
big return to form for the 3D platforming genre, which has not been a thing really in a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Baland Wonder World or something like that, which was terrible.
Platforming is just hard to do in 3D.
Yeah, there's been some hot and coldness with Sonic games in that genre. Yeah. And so anytime, of course, Mario has continued on strong, but we haven't had a good 3D Mario game in quite a long time. I think
Mario Odyssey was great, but that was 2017.
And then they had the really short, the Bowser one where it becomes Giga Bowser or whatever.
That was crazy.
I actually liked that game better than Odyssey.
You told me about that. Yeah.
That game was amazing.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see them do something more with that. And whatever they're cooking up, it's coming up on Switch 2 or whatever. Yeah. But Astrobot looks awesome, and I'm definitely going to play it at some point. Looks great.
Dope. Yeah, I'm excited to play that too. The 5th game and final game for the games that I missed this year is Zelda, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom.
Yep, this looks awesome.
It
This
looks
game
so good,
awesome.
and it pains me to say I didn't play it.
Bro, I've been asking for Zelda to be the lead character for I don't know how many years now, and then it came out and I didn't buy it.
I know, me too.
I'm an
once
idiot.
again, it's
idiot.
like, we gotta contribute, not just for whatever our 2 cents are worth to Nintendo, but because it looks like a legitimately fun game.
It looks awesome.
All of these games, man, they all look so much fun, but this particular one is one that it kind of reminds me of there's one aspect of the Wind Waker when you're going through the Wind Temple with Medley and you're kind of controlling the other things around you with the wand. Was really fun and appealing. It was probably my favorite dungeon for that game, and it's a great game with a lot of great dungeons. And so this game kind of taking that idea and leveling it up, and doing it in the fun, artistic style of, I think they remade Link's Awakening to look something like this.
That. Yep.
Yeah, and so now they're carrying it on here with Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I hope the game has done well despite my lack of
I'm buying it no matter
buying
what.
it. One day I will.
I am buying it. I just the traveling and the work.
Yeah.
And you might say, well, play it while you're traveling. I don't know what it is about playing a handheld on an airplane or in some public place where people can look over at what I'm doing. I don't like it. I like being in a private space.
That's funny.
And so I no matter how convinced I ever become that buy a Steam Deck, it's a great idea, and then I never freaking use it, I just don't play handhelds.
Yeah.
But anyway,
in public,
I really want to play this. I'm going to play it.
Echoes of Wisdom.
Yeah. So this game came on my radar only because there was someone on Twitter who tweeted at me, "Have you seen this?"
Yeah.
And I happened to see that message because I don't see every message on Twitter. And I was like, "Oh, what's 1,000 times resist? That sounds like a weeb game. Let's take a look at that." And it is, but it also looks awesome.
Yeah.
It also looks really, really, really good.
Cool.
I almost don't even want to spoil what it appears to be. Like, just go watch the trailer or something and just be like roped in by like how cool the style for this is. 1,000 times resist. I'm not even sure if I'm actually pronouncing that right. That's just how it looks when it's written to me. It really gives me Nier Automata vibes in good ways, in all the best ways. I'm not saying that it necessarily plays like Nier Automata, but as far as like the storytelling, the art direction, the tone that the trailer takes, that sort of thing, it reminds me of Nier in some ways. And for me, I think that's a really good thing. And it's an indie game. It's not like a big budget thing. And so that also makes me really interested in it because I feel like in that space, you get people who are trying to do something really different. And that this does feel really different from anything that I've seen in quite a while.
Nice.
So yeah, I want to check it out, but
dope. I know nothing about it.
I missed it. Looks awesome.
I'll have to check out the trailer.
Yes. That's what I suggest. Rather than me talking about it, just go watch the trailer and then you'll instantly be hooked into it. Looks awesome. Okay.
All right. That rounds out the games that we missed in 2024.
What should we look forward to in the coming year? What's well, I was surprised to see that there weren't that many. I think this year a whole bunch of stuff dropped in, and so there's kind of this lull. I also do think
the Switch 2
there's going to be an announcement soon for whatever Nintendo's next console is, and that'll probably launch
might be waiting
at the end of the year next year, and there'll probably be certain launch titles, probably a Mario launch title and things like that. So there's probably stuff has not been announced or that we don't know about yet.
Yeah.
And a whole new console coming out. So there's that.
That'll be fun.
So there's probably a lot of stuff being saved or whatever.
But we each had 5 games of the games that we missed that we brought up here. But for the games that we're looking forward to, there's 5 total between both of us.
Yes.
So yeah, that being said, it's a more manageable amount. We might actually be able to hit the goal.
Yeah, we might actually play these.
Yeah. We'll have you go first.
So, because it's coming out in early access, and so
that's the thing.
It's not actually the full release.
Yeah,
it's early access, but it's Hyperlight Breaker, which was on my list last year for one of the games I was looking forward to last year, and then it got pushed into this year. But we've done a podcast episode on Hyperlight Drifter now. I've talked a lot about what I love about that game, and I just really think this developer is great. What they make is awesome, and they're moving into kind of that 3D. I mean, they did a game before Hyperlight Breaker that also is in a very similar style to it. I still haven't played that either, and I really want to. But Hyperlight Breaker is definitely a heart machine as a developer. I just really respect, and I feel like they have like a really good sense for like what they want to make and why they're making it and what they're like. Everything is sort of molded on like a central concept, and they execute that really well. And so this has like co-op sort of like built into it, which I think could be pretty fun. It's got a little bit of a rogue-like element to it. So, you know, you're going to die and retry things a lot kind of a thing. It's not like a roguelike game, but it's got roguelike elements to it. And I just think the style looks really cool. I really like the art. I really like the music. So I'm excited for it. I think Hyperlight Breaker is going to be pretty cool, but it'll be in early access. So, you know,
in just a couple weeks. 2 weeks.
January 14th. But that might actually be at a spot where I have some time off because I did all this work during the Christmas break. And they're telling me I'm going to get that time off later. And so I might take that through mid to the end of January. So maybe it'll be perfect timing to try it out. But do I try that out, or do I try out Metaphor or Echoes of Wisdom or Astrobot or something else?
Geez,
I don't know what to do.
At some point, the backlog gets a little too overwhelming, right?
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what to play.
You need to have a Jubilee where you just forgive all of your debt for everything in the past. You just clean slate, and then just pick a game.
Those games will never be played.
You don't have that burden still on your back.
I don't know if I can do that.
All right. For me, Mike brought up Suikoden 2 as one of the best gaming intros of all time. And it's a game I had not actually played. I have played the first quarter or so probably of the first Suikoden game, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
So good.
Don't know why I didn't keep playing it, although, I don't know. This was years ago.
I have a controversial opinion in that I like Suikoden 1 more than 2.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, 1 is great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But when I saw that intro for Suikoden 2, that awoke something in my soul.
It's awesome.
That lit a fire inside of me. Probably every day since I remember because you told me about it, and then I'm the one that edited that video, and so I had to go look up the clip and then pull it down, and then I was like, wait, what did I just watch? It's
awesome.
Amazing. This is pure magic. And I watched it several times. We even brought it up again in like I can't remember which one. We brought it up again in another more recent episode.
Yep.
And the way that they were so creative with those 2D assets, so unbelievably creative, that it just made me really want to play Suikoden 2. But of course, I can't just start playing Suikoden 2. I have to play Suikoden 1 first. And so it just so happens that Suikoden 1 and 2 are both being remastered and released in the coming year. And wow, that's like basically God telling me like, play the game, dude. Play the freaking game, right? Yeah. Not only can I not think about it, not only did you just bring it up, but it turns out that at the very moment that I'm thinking, I'm itching, I have to play this game, it is being remastered after 25 years. Yeah. It's basically falling in my lap. Like if I ignore it this time, then I don't know. There may be no hope for me in my backlog.
So obviously we allow our patrons to vote on which games we play on the channel. Yeah. But I have
once again, this is the other thing that made it a perfect. Yeah. It's on our list of games to vote for Patreon.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. The stars may be aligning.
For case sake, all of you, you're going to have to vote for it when it comes up.
Yes.
And we'll do them back to back. We'll do Suikoden 1 and 2.
1 and 2. That'd be great.
Because they kind of are, they're carried over in a lot of ways. You carry over data from one to the other.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
So like I see them as part of one whole story. Nice. Suikoden 3 is a different thing, and 4, but the 1 and 2, I think there's a good reason why you're remastering them together.
Yeah,
they go together. The story carries one into the other really well.
Sweet,
and you can even recruit as a character in the second game the main character from the first game.
That's great.
So yeah,
I love that stuff, man.
Yeah,
it's super fun. I'm looking forward to it. I have not yet. I don't know exactly how the same it's going to be to what it was. But gosh, I may even just play the originals just to play the game. If the remake isn't quite doing it for me.
Sure.
I'm just excited to play Suikoden. And I'm also excited to talk about Suikoden.
Yep.
So, and
We're
tell
gonna do
everyone
it.
how dope it looks.
It's coming up this year on State of the Arc podcast. Death Stranding 2 is my second game I'm looking forward to the most in the next year. And it might be my most anticipated game of the year because I'm in a little bit of a Kojima mood at the moment.
You get him right now, right?
Yeah, I feel like after playing Metal Gear Solid 2, I have like this, it's not happening because I don't have time, but I was like, I want to play like the entire Metal Gear series over again. I want to, I just like his style a lot. And I liked Death Stranding. I felt it was a flawed game. I felt it could get a little too weird for its own good at times. But there's just, again, just something to his style. And I that style that I have likened to a level of charisma and confidence in a person where they can get away with things other people can't because they just smooth talk their way through situations and you just believe them and you don't question it. There's something about Kojima's style that it feels a little bit like that to me, where this would normally bother me more than it is now because your style is just too engaging, engrossing, interesting to me. But I also had like just a really fundamentally amazing kind of introspective moment with Death Stranding, which I've talked about a little bit in the past. I guess to put it briefly, I've always been kind of a super introverted, almost like hermit type guy. Like I don't love hanging out with a lot of people or going to parties or even like socially gaming. I like playing strictly single player stuff and being kind of alone by myself while I play. There's some exceptions to that, but for the most part, that's how I am. And this game has a very big online co-op sort of element to it where you're helping each other to sort of like traverse the world a little easier, but you give away materials. You essentially donate them in order to help other players. And so there was a part of me that's like, I don't care about other players. I just want to play the game.
Yeah.
But I got really, really into it. I got way into the social aspect of this game in a way that I never do for games that try similar stuff. Maybe even like Xenoblade Chronicles X or something like that, right? Like, just don't care about what anyone else is doing out there. But this one I did. I got way into it, and it really challenged me in sort of that way of thinking. The wanting to separate, excise myself from society. I don't like people, get away from me. It made me understand the value of a strong group and belonging and having a strong social net. And there was one particular moment that did that, but I'll save that story for another time. There's a character who was basically voicing exactly my own thoughts about this.
That's great.
And at the same time, in the same scene, was like begging for a person to talk to, had been alone for so long, and someone was finally there to talk to. And he's saying all of these things. That's like his ideology about not trusting people, yet he needed that connection so badly.
Yeah.
That no, don't leave. Like, keep talking.
That's it. Being alone is great, but please don't go.
It was a beautiful scene, and it really challenged me in that sense. And so, whatever the hell he's doing with Death Stranding 2, I have no idea. It's going to be out there. It's going to be freaking crazy.
Yeah.
I've looked at some of it. It's just like there's like a clay-mated character, like puppet dude that like sits on a guy's shoulder and is animated at like 10 frames per second.
That's funny. That's funny.
Well, what the fetch, dude? Okay, I'm in. Let's give it a shot.
Which Hollywood actor is in this one?
Oh, a lot of them. I mean, Sam Reedus is back. That's his name, right? The guy who played the main character. He's the main character again. Same actress. Forget her name. Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus.
That's his name. What did I say? Did I say Sam Reedus? Sam's his character's name.
Ah, nice.
There's the character in the game. Norman Reedus is the name of the actor.
So for the only other game that I can think of that I'm looking forward to, given that I missed Dragon Quest 3 just a few months ago and that there's still hope for me, I will pick it up at some point. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 are being remade, and they're games that I've always wanted to play. Now, you mentioned this earlier on in the podcast, but these games just mean so much to Japan that I really have to play all of them. And it's dope that they're doing all three basically within like, I don't know, just months of each other, within a year of each other. And that I'll have this new opportunity to play these games that I've never played before, but always wanted to.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I'm stoked.
Yep.
Super excited about Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3.
Yep, they look awesome. My third and final one was Ghosts of Yotei. I really liked Ghosts of Tsushima a lot. And I don't know whether I'm surprised or not. In a certain way I am, in a certain way I'm not. That Ghosts of Tsushima, as popular as it was, I think it sold more than 30 million.
Tons, at least more than
like
20.
It's a
but
lot.
Yeah, like a ton.
It's like ridiculous. And they're like making a TV series or a movie out of it or something, or that was in development for a while. So it's very, very popular. But there's a lot of people who, talk about it being a super boring game. Like when we post this short where I was talking about the intro or whatever on places like TikTok, there's a lot of people have a lot of bad things to say about Ghost of Tsushima. I really liked it. And that's admittedly as a person who's getting tired of the open world Ubisoft-esque formula that Assassin's Creed created. And I'm on board with you that like I'm a little bit tired of that formula. And I even said to myself after beating Ghost of Tsushima, I don't think I can play a game like this again for a long time. Like, I'm just kind of tired of the formula. I loved this game. I loved it. I'm a little tired of the formula. So,
but how long ago was that?
When did Ghost of Tsushima come out? 2019 or 2021? I can't remember.
5-ish years?
I think it was 2018 or 2019. I think it was before the pandemic.
Can you at least do one every 5 years?
I think so. Because I played Breath of the Wild again since then. I think that might be the only one. But I wanted to play Tears of the Kingdom, which I played the intro of, but like haven't gotten too far into. So I got to kind of pick and choose. Which game in this style am I going to like choose for the next, long time of like, So at the same time, I just really believe in this particular studio and what they have going on with this property. There's not like a lot that's been shown about it. It was mostly like a cinematic trailer that they showed, and I never really buy into those too much at this point.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely interested because I just loved Tsushima a lot. I just loved the way that they did their particular swordplay, like the duels. The duels are really cool. The duels, like, they're just really cool. So, and it was a really beautiful world too. Like, as far as open worlds go, it was gorgeous. And so I am excited for it. I really want to play it, but I also acknowledge that this particular formula might have run its course to some degree for me. But I played Dragon's Dogma 2. That was pretty open world.
Was it?
So I liked that. I can do it occasionally. But yeah, it's good stuff. It's a formula. I can see the formula. I'm a little tired of the formula, but it's like the formula at its best. So like,
good.
There's to a certain extent, it's still very engaging, very fun. I still really like it. So
great.
That's my number 3.
Well, hoping Ghost of Yotei does that again. It uses that formula in a new way that is makes it fun again. Puts life back into it.
The northern part of Japan, there's like that specific mountain that they're kind of featuring there. Tsushima happened on like the island of Tsushima, which is the southwest portion, kind of the Japanese archipelago. So this is a different region of Japan, northern region, which I don't know that much about, to be honest.
Sapporo, Sendai, like that area.
Yeah.
Hokkaido. It's lots of hot springs. Yeah. Lots of
cold there.
Yeah, lots of cold. And some islands that are disputed between Russia and Japan even to this day.
Really?
Above a lot of Russians live in the northern islands of northern Japan. But there's not enough there for them to really fight about it. And so they just kind of both claim it, and then it is what it is.
It is what it is, dude.
Yeah, it's mostly like fishing and stuff.
All right. Now, here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to tell us about all of the non-AAA, not in like the, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like the popular media.
Oh, yeah.
Consciousness. What's that like 1,000 times resist type game that's coming out
next year
that I'm not aware of that I should be more excited about than these 3 games that I listed? That's what I want to know. I legitimately want to know that.
Yeah.
What's like we got something called Zeitgeist, says Beardmo. Tell me more. I want to know more about that kind of thing, because to be completely honest with you, probably not going to play these games.
Don't say it.
Unless
if you speak it, it becomes reality.
Unless, and this is something that I think could be reality, this podcast takes off and I'm able to come on full time for it like Kaysen is doing now.
Yeah.
If it gets to that point, then I will play them. But if I'm working the job I'm working now and doing our podcast, there's no freaking way.
Yeah.
There's no freaking way that I'm going to have however many hours it takes to play Death Stranding 2 and Ghosts of Yote. These games take forever, dude.
Yeah.
They're huge. But I still want to. But anyway, goodbye, everybody. Have a good day.
Goodbye and Happy New Year. Happy
That's true.
New Year.
Happy New Year. See ya.